Web Marketing 3.0 in Social Network using Mda Approach and Pulse Detector. Abstract. In this paper we have focused on the evolution of the web marketing, meaning the passage of the web marketing 2.0 to 3.0, baptized semantic web marketing, the main idea being to make easier to the internet user to use a huge and disrupting stream of information and make it organized and easily accessible. As so, we have chosen to use the IJERT applications and the Mda, Model-Driven Architecture, transformation. In this paper we are going to present a model-driven approach to the development of IJERT web applications based on the UML class diagram. The transformation language is the MOF 2.0 QVT, Meta Object Facility 2.0 Query View Transformation, standard which defines the meta model for the development of model transformation. Then we introduced a webcam pulse detector to detect the heartbeat of the clients by an imaging solution using ambient light for catching their preferences. Keywords: web marketing, transformation by modeling, IJERT architecture, transformation rules, MOF 2.0 QVT, meta model, webcam pulse detector, ambient light. Introduction. The Web Marketing 3.0 is the way to attract the clients by different ways, as so we introduced an innovative technique called detection of the cardiovascular pulse wave, and can be done by means such as variations in air pressure, impedance, or strain. Photoplethysmography, PPG, 1, introduced in the 1930s using light reflectance or transmission and is the least expensive method and simple to use. PPG is based on the principle that blood absorbs light more than surrounding tissue, so variations in blood volume affect transmission or reflectance correspondingly. Applications of PPG include monitoring of oxygen saturation, pulse oximetry, heart, HR, and respiration, RR, rates, blood pressure, cardiac output, assessment of autonomic functions and detection of peripheral vascular diseases. Remote, non-contact pulse oximetry and PPG imaging have been explored only relatively recently. 2, 3. In this work we are going to transform an UML model concerning an advertisement in a social network to generate a source code. In a recent work 21, the authors have developed a source and a target metamodels. The first was a PIM metamodel specific to class diagrams. The second was a PSM metamodel for MVC2, Model View Controller, web applications, particularly struts. Then they have elaborated a transformation rules using the approach by programming. The purpose of our contribution is to produce and generate an IJERT PSM model, implementing MVC2, D, dependency injection, and DAO, data access object, patterns, from the class diagram. In this case, we elaborate a number of transformation rules using the approach by modeling and MOF 2.0 QVT4, as transformation language, to permit the generation of an XML file that can be used to produce the required code of the target application. The advantage of this approach is the bidirectional execution of transformation rules. 5. Model-Driven Architecture, Mda. In November 2000, OMG, a consortium of over 1000 companies, initiated the Mda approach. The key principle of Mda is the use of models at different phases of application development. Specifically, Mda advocates the development of requirements models, CIM, analysis and design, PIM, and PSM, Code 6. The Mda architecture is divided into 4 layers. In the first layer, we find the standard UML, Unified Modeling Language, MOF, Meta Object Facility, and CWM, Common Warehouse Metamodel. In the second layer, we find a standard XML metadata interchange, which enables the dialogue between middlewares, Java, Corba, .NET, and web services. The third layer contains the services that manage events, security, directories, and transactions. The last layer provides frameworks which are adaptable to different types of applications, namely finance, telecommunications, transport, medicine, e-commerce and manufacture, etc. The major objective of Mda is to develop sustainable models, those models are independent from the technical details of platform's implementation, J2EE, .NET, PHP, or other, in order to enable the automatic generation of all codes and applications leading to a significant gain in productivity. Mda includes the definition of several standards, including UML8, MOF12 and XMI14. Antier's architecture. Antier's application architecture provides a model for developers to create a flexible and reusable application and provides some advantages that are vital to the business continuity of the enterprise. Typical features of a real-life Antiers may include the security, availability, scalability, manageability, easy maintenance, and data abstraction. To most people, an Antiers application is anything that is divided into discrete logical parts. The most common choice is a three-part breakdown: presentation, business logic, and data access, although other possibilities exist. In this paper, we are using the following layers. Fig.1 Antiers layers. Each layer can be developed independently of the other provided that it adheres to the standards and communicates with the other layers. The presentation layer with MVC2 pattern. A long time ago, web applications were very simple and the technology that was used to develop them was Common Gateway Interface, CGI. As applications became more complex, the defects and limits of this technology have emerged. Slowness and considerable consumption of memory. Therefore, the J2EE platform applies the architecture MVC27. In this paradigm, the model represents the information system consisting of Java beans. The view represents the HTML pages returned to the user, and consists of Java Server Page, JSP. The controller is the glue between the two and it is composed of servlets. In short, during the early 80s with Smalltalk, MVC was widespread in the field of object development. Many frameworks that implements MVC2 pattern have emerged, among them, Struts 1, Pure MVC 19, Guitar 14, Spring MVC 15, Zend 18, ASP.NET MVC 25. Struts remains the most mature solution that has earned the trust of most developers. That is why we have taken it into account in our source meta model. The business layer with data transfer object and dependency injection patterns. In an article written in early 2004, Martin Fowler asked what aspect of control is being inverted. He concluded that it is the acquisition of dependent objects that is being inverted. Based on that revelation, he coined a better name for inversion of control, dependency injection 19. In other words, dependency injection is a worthwhile concept used within applications that we develop. Not only can it reduce coupling between components, but it also saves us from writing boilerplate factory creation code over and over again. Many frameworks that implement DIP pattern have emerged, among them, Spring 15, Symfony Dependency Injection 17, Spring.NET 6, EJB, Pico Container 13. We have used some Spring classes in our source meta model. The Webcam pulse detector process. A Python code that detects TE heart rate of an individual using a common webcam or network IP camera. Tested on OS X 10.7, Lion, Ubuntu 13.04, Ringtail, and Windows 7. Inspired by reviewing recent work on Eulerian video magnification, with motivation to implement something visually comparable, though not necessarily identical in formulation, to their pulse detection examples using Python and OpenCV. This goal is comparable to those of a few previous efforts in this area, such as GitHub.com web link. This code was developed at NASA Glenn Research Center in support of OpenMDAO, under the Aeronautical Sciences Project in NASA's Fundamental Aeronautics Program, as well as the Crew State Monitoring element of the Vehicle System Safety Technologies Project, in NASA's Aviation Safety Program. A list of other open-source NASA codes can be found at code.nasa.gov. This application uses OpenCV to find the location of the user's face, then isolate the forehead region. Data is collected from this location over time to estimate the user's heart rate. This is done by measuring average optical intensity in the forehead location, in the subimage screen channel alone, a better color mixing ratio may exist, but the blue channel tends to be very noisy. Physiological data can be estimated this way thanks to the optical absorption characteristics of oxy. With good lighting and minimal noise due to motion, a stable heartbeat should be isolated in about 15 seconds. Other physiological waveforms, such as Meyer waves, should also be visible in the raw data stream. Once the user's heart rate has been estimated, real-time phase variation associated with this frequency is also computed. This allows for the heartbeat to be exaggerated in the post-process frame rendering, causing the highlighted forward location to pulse in sync with the user's own heartbeat. Support for detection on multiple simultaneous individuals in a single camera's image stream is definitely possible, but at the moment only the information from one face is extracted for analysis. Fig 2. Signals corresponding power spectra. Transformation process from UML to NTIERS. Implementation. CRUD operations, create, remove, update, and display, are most commonly implemented in all systems. That is why we have taken into account in our transformation rules these types of transactions. We first developed EMOF models corresponding to our source and target metamodels, and then we implemented the algorithm using the transformation language QVT operational mappings. To validate our transformation rules, we conducted several tests. For example, we considered the class diagram, see figure 7. After applying the transformation on the UML model, composed by the classes user and advertisement, we generated the target model. Fig 4 UML instance model. This figure represents the first part of the code of the transformation of UML model source to NTIERS target model. Fig 3. A transformation code UML to CRUD. The entry point of the transformation is the method main. This method makes the correspondence between all the elements of the UML package type of the input model and the element of the CRUD project package type of the output model. The objective of the second part of this code is to transform a UML package into NTIERS package, by creating the elements of type package DAO, business, and presentation. It is a question of transforming each class of package UML to JSP page and action in the view package, to DTO, Service, and service impl in the business package, and to PAJO, IDAO and DAO impl in the DAO package, without forgetting to give names to the different packages. Result. Fig 5 generated PSM NTIERS web model. The first element in the generated PSM model is UI package, which includes view package that contains the JSPs, namely display user page.jsp, display advertisement page.jsp, create user page.jsp, create advertisement page.jsp, update user page.jsp, and update advertisement page.jsp. Since the operation of the removal requires any form, we'll go to the controller package element, which contains a single element action mapping. The latter contains 18 delegating action proxy whose names are respectively display X action, create X action, update X action, remove X action, create X end action, update X end action, where X should be replaced by user, and advertisement. Operations for creation and update, add forms to enter new values. For this reason, we add create X end action and update X end action. The second element in the generated PSM model is business package, which includes 3 services interfaces, 3 services implementations, and 3 those objects correspond to the 2 objects user and advertisement. The last element in the generated PSM model is DAO package, which contains 3 PAJOs objects that contains their attributes, 3 DAOs interfaces that contains methods with their parameters and their implementations. Fig 6 sample of the generated website. Conclusion. In this paper, we applied the Mda approach to generate the NTIERS web application based on UML class diagram to generate a skeleton of a social network and create appropriate advertisements to the users in function of them profiles. This involves developing all meta classes needed to be able to generate an NTIERS application respecting a MVC2, D and DAO patterns. Then we applied the approach by modeling and used the MOF 2.0 QVT standard as a transformation language. The transformation rules defined allow browsing the source model instance class diagram, and generating, through these rules, an XML file containing layers of Mda's architecture according to our target model. This file can be used to produce the necessary code of the target application. The algorithm of transformation manages all CRUD operations. Moreover, it can be reused with any kind of methods represented in the UML class diagram. In the future, this work should be extended to allow the generation of other components of web application besides the configuration files. For instance, we will be able to provide part of user interface. Afterward we can consider integrating other execution platforms like PHP and .NET.